Good afternoon, friends, and here's wishing everybody a happy Gandhi Jayanti. Do you wish people on Gandhi Jayanti? Because the person to be wished is the one whose birthday is there. So, happy birthday, Mahatma Gandhi. Let's get on to business. Now, what I have seen is that, there are lots and lots of webinars which are happening I think over the weekend, over next many days, and I have done my share also. But thinking of what is needed in trading more than the setups and the strategies and RSI and MACD is in my belief patience, unlimited patience. You can always find that one thing or two things or three things to look for in the market, but can you keep waiting for them till they occur? I think that is the difference between a good and a bad trader. If you cannot wait for the right location or the quote unquote perfect setup, if you are craving for action, you are in trouble. Often the question I am asked is, आज क्या करना है? I think that's a very poor understanding of market because it doesn't. The market does not know that a new day has happened and it needs to move according to you. It sets up, and the longer it sets up, the bigger the move. So the idea for people should be to wait for markets to set up, and intraday trading, etc., the setups cannot be powerful enough to give you large moves. So you want the market to set up over 2 or 3 days for you to have a reasonable move. If you want your 20 nifty points, that is a different issue. But if you wait, you will often make much more money than your intraday, flick, where the risk reward could be 50-50, where the setup does not have the gas to really go much further. So let's look at some examples of what I mean by a setup. Okay, now let's have a look at the Nifty. So for example, you are trying to trade the narrow range. For last couple of days, I think the Nifty was in this sort of a narrow range. So while your intraday guy was busy doing this, the real big action, I think, happened yesterday when the market moved, and it moved strongly. So for the guy who wanted to make bigger money, he built his position here, and when it opened with a gap up, he made his money. So the idea is that a lot of people don't have the patience for this to play out. Until you do that, you cannot be successful in making large money. You will be successful in taking your 20 points, etc. Now, let's have a look at what happened. Here, again, if you look at this, some kind of range was made. This was an excess, so we can leave this aside. This happened over, I think, 2 days. So anybody who got in here again traded the expansion. So what I am basically getting to is that unless you are willing to wait for an expansion, you will keep making unforced errors as they do in tennis. Okay, again, this setup took about 2 days to form. And finally, this is the large move you got into by waiting for this setup. So either you can do up and down here, or you can wait for a breakdown that gives you a large move, a large expansion. So the issue is people cannot sit through this sort of sideways action, and hence they take very substandard setup, and then they do not ride it to potential. So while I'm not saying that I can do it all the time, etc., but once you can figure out your problem, I think you can fix it. This is not only my problem, but this is a problem of a lot of people. Why? Because they are not willing to wait for markets to set up. And the best setup happens in two kind of formats. That is my opinion. So let me show you what are the two things you should wait for. And again, at the risk of making this topic complicated, lots of people say option buyers cannot make money. I will show you how they can make money, but they have to be patient. Option buyer makes money when the option moves in his direction sharply, like when the underlying moves in his direction sharply, like we did yesterday here. Okay. Now, from what areas could the underlying move sharply? If you have a ranging quiet market, from there you can move up sharply. This is setup number one, and on a 5-minute chart, this tends to occur around the 200, where 20 and 200 period averages are together, and finally they start to separate. Okay. What is the second setup? That the market is here and it opens with an excessive gap, maybe 150, 200 point gap, and from there is no follow through and you drop towards the mean, or you gap down and you rally towards the mean. In these two situations, you will make a lot of money. Away from 20, away from 200, or close to 20, close to 200. But this needs to set up for maybe a couple of days of narrow range. Even here, what you want is the previous day should be a strong upside day, and then you get a further 150, 200 point gap up or gap down after a strong down day, and then it works. So in both these situations, you have to wait for the market to set up properly. The issue is not, some secret setup. The issue is that most people are not patient enough to wait. In 20 years of my trading, what I have seen is if you are patient, you will make it. Like, let's say you had a strong up day here. The price level was about 11,600, and you waited and you waited and you got this setup. So instead of participating in this up and down, just wait for this setup and then make your move. Okay. Again, this was sudden fall. Say you missed it. Again, the market got into a huddle for about almost, you could say, one odd day. And again, you fell. The issue is people are more interested in predicting these moves, whereas the big juice is here. Very simple theory that low volatility leads to high volatility, and high volatility leads to a period of low volatility. Okay, the losses happen here, the profits happen here. Okay, and all you have to do is wait and wait and wait till it comes and sits in your lap. Okay, now yesterday we got our expansion. Okay, now what do? You sit tight and wait again for the market to set up before making your next move. Now, it is possible that you have another rally and then you find your sideways setup and then the market turns. So, you don't need any extra insight. The market will tell you when it's planning to turn. Yes, the exact low, exact high could be a problem like this one, But post that, you will again get into a range. If you wait long enough, you will see these ranges form, and from there you get your move. Okay, so the advice here is that wait, and wait for markets to set up and then take the other side, particularly for option buying. See, the option seller can sell anywhere, and time value matters only in weekly options. It does not matter a whole lot in the monthly options. Okay, so it is a myth that option selling works most of the time. Option selling requires much less knowledge than option buying. But if a market is moving like this, option selling will also lose money. Okay. Option selling requires 10 times as much margin as option buying. So people who have a lower amount of capital, they need to be patient, they need to be more skilled than the option seller. But option buying will make you wait for 2 or 3 days before it sets up and again expands. So if you have a clear concept when the market is expanding, when it is contracting, that would give you a good risk reward. It will give you great profit, but wait for things to set up. I think the message should have hit home by now. That should be all. This works in individual stocks. It works in indices. Let me show you one chart. Bajaj Auto yesterday, it came out of this range, and if a person was prepared before the markets opened and he bought somewhere here, it gave you a good move. But this wasn't the trade, the only trade. Another good trade was here when the market had become overextended from the 20 as well as 200, and it came all the way back here. So this is the patient guy's trade. You don't have to do something at the open. If you wait, you will get these sort of moves. Okay. Here you got 2 days to figure out that okay, this is going to expand and I want to play this expansion. But you also got, I think, couple of hours to let the market get overextended in Bajaj Auto and then take the other side. Broad message is wait for the market to set up. If you are not waiting for the market to set up, you will not get large move. You will not make any sort of serious money. So identify the three setups or three beliefs about your market uh, analysis, and then wait for it to set up. I like setups which happen or which set up over a couple of days than a couple of hours, because the size of move that I want happens when you have a good powerful setup. It does not happen because of news. It does not happen because of other reasons. It happens when the market builds a certain amount of energy and gives you expansion on one side.
That should be it for this video. Take care, trade well, and please incorporate patience as one of the pillars of your trading. Take care. Have a good weekend.